what I'm going to attempt to do is to break down exactly what Pastor Dow means when he talks about all things in common. You hear him say it all the time. You hear him say it all the time. But the problem is that people are not thinking about this from the perspective of uh, a biblical Hebraic covenant law perspective. People are thinking about this statement when he says this from a Greco Roman Gentile heathen perspective. And it's all about how you process things, because when people say something, right? Um, when people say something, something comes to mind. And it usually comes to mind from what something, or from our previous understanding, or our previous how we see things through the lens of the world in which we have been trained. Okay, hopefully I'm not losing anybody here. Okay, so when he says we have all things in common, that is correct. Okay, but we have to understand that everybody is going to be judged based on their role. Okay? Roles. It's all about roles. In the military, it's all about roles. This man has a military background as well. It's all about roles. Okay? He understands roles. If you're in the especially I have an HR background, I understand roles. I understand job descriptions. The CEO is not the same as the person that works at the mail clerk. Okay? And so this is why I get back and he's talking about more and more indentured servant slaves. Okay? He is a pastor. He has several roles. Okay? He's a husband, he's a pastor, he's a head of community, he's a head of a ministry. He has several different roles. Okay? So not all the time is he acting in the role as of a pastor. Sometimes he's acting in the role of a head of a community. Okay, you need to understand these things. So the role of a maidservant, which they have, manservants, which they have, concubines, wives, polygynies, husbands. They could be husbands that are indentured servants. There can be whole families that can be indentured servants. You can have women that can be indentured servants as maid servants. You can have brethren that can be indentured servants as manservants, right? You can have concubines that can be added to a man's house as a role of a concubine. You understand all of these different roles? They're different roles, okay? So from that perspective, look at the book of Philemon, okay? Somebody needs to preach about the book of Philemon, okay? Because that'll give you a good understanding of roles when it comes to homes, when it comes to communities, okay? Uh, uh, and disagreements and how those things need to take place, and how Paul had to come in and deal with this runaway servant, and telling Paul and telling Philemon to take him back as a brother. I'll just pay you. I'll just pay off his debts, whatever. Take him back as a brother. Okay. So you need to understand the different roles. He's not talking about so in that sense of roles, all people have everything in common according to their roles. That's what he needs to say. Pastor Dow needs to get up and say everybody has everything in common according to their role. Do you understand that? There's a difference. And so with that being said, people are looking at it from the wrong perspective, okay? Everybody does have everything in common, but it's according to their role of handmaiden, manservant, concubine, husband, indentured servants. Whole families can be indentured servants. Whole families. If and it says in the law, which Pastor Dow believes the law. That's what he says. That's what he believes. So you got to understand that they equate this to this. It even talks about if a master, which Pastor Dow is, he's acting in the role of a master. And if a master gives his male servant a wife and children, what happens to those male servants? What if he decides to leave? What is it? What happens to those children of those man servants and female servants and so forth and so on? You understand how that works? You understand how that works? I'll just let it rain. But you need to understand how this stuff works. If you understand how this stuff works, then you'll get it. Then you'll understand it. Then you'll be able to process it. Um, with that being said, another thing when it comes to community, what is my take on community? I've said it before. I'll say it over and over again. The vast majority of people, as many people as possible, need to be in the community. Why? Look at the economic situation in this country. Look at the rents in this country. Look at the homeless rates in this country. Look at all of these things, and all of these people experiencing it. Again, Pastor Dow was on one of his vacations. I think he goes to Dominican Republic. I don't know where he goes, but he goes on his vacations, and he's speaking with one of his shires, Sister Nellie, and he says 95% of the people come to community with nothing at all. With nothing at all. Nothing at all. So you need to understand what the situation is in this country economically, that hey man, community, homesteads, self-sufficiency, people working together, it's gonna be a hot commodity. It is a hot commodity. Because a lot of people they can't live on their own. You see the eviction rate by single mothers going through the damn roof. You know how many single mothers I've sent to Straightway that I've said, listen here, you need to go and check out this organization because I think it'd be beneficial for you. Okay? It's just the truth. You know how many brothers I've sent, you know what I'm saying, or throughout the years. Now, this is after I've left the Straightway, or and another thing is, you were marked. No, I was never marked. Pastor Dow never marked me like he has Rufus Carswell. But I've sent many people because I understand it wasn't about me. It was about the people that are literally impoverished, people that are literally suffering out there, that need to be somewhere where they can plug in and serve in any way that they can, because at least they'll have a roof over their head, which a lot of people are struggling to provide. At least they'll have some clothes on their back. At least they'll have the bare minimum, because what would you rather be, an indentured servant or a manservant or a maidservant there? Or would you rather be homeless in the streets? Which one would you rather be? Because see, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. You need to understand whether it's homesteads or community, people are going to be showing up. Families going to be showing up. Friends going to be showing up. People that and they ain't going to be showing up because everything is going well. And this is why I say as well, you need to be getting in and coordinating with people while you can. Because, folks coming to your door, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen in communities. It's going to happen in homesteads. People showing up at the door, broke down, destitute, talking about, hey, man, do you have an extra cabin that I can stay in? It's happened here. It's happened. I've put up people temporarily because they were having hard times, and I had, extra places to stay. So I was like, hey, man, you can stay in this cabin. You have a wood stove. You know what I'm saying? You can wash your ass. We got plenty of food until you get on your feet, then go on about your way. I've been in this situation at least half a dozen times throughout the years. This is going to happen. This is happening. I'm not against community. I'm not against homesteading. What I am against is people being reactive instead of proactive. What I'm against is people not doing your own due diligence and independent research to find out exactly what you're getting involved in. If you're going to be a manservant or a female maidservant or a concubine, play your role. Play your role. If that's what you have to offer, that's what you have to offer. Don't murmur. Don't gripe. don't complain. It is what it is. But as we go on to higher ups in terms of, men with families and resources and stuff, because you worked hard for your resources, you worked hard for everything that you have, and you want to make sure that you're not invested in a bag full of holes like a lot of people did in Rufus Caldwell. And people say, oh, you're obsessed with this. Now, I'm obsessed with the example. You know how many times we read the scriptures to look at those examples, those examples that we see before us, that gives us understanding of how we need to be moving and how we need to be not be moving. This is just another example of what you need to be studying. It needs to be studied. It needs to be discussed. Think about Rufus damn cars. Well, he ain't about nothing. He ain't gonna be about nothing. He ain't gonna produce nothing. Watch his fruit. Watch his fruit. It's gonna be a whole bunch of this and none of this. But you need to understand that these situations need to be understood. They need to. This is why I'm trying to get this information out there and hashtag, because it needs to be discussed, and everybody want to discuss it. Hey, let's come on. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a civil debate like Pastor Dow talks about. Because at the end of the day, all publicity is good publicity. And I spoke about this, why a lot of people are not going to give people a certain light or a platform because they don't want that message out there. They're not going to give folks a platform to air anything that they have to say because they want their voice to be heard. They don't want anybody else's voice to be heard, or they fear what is going to be said. People talk about these different things about why Geno Jennings doesn't give Pastor Dow a debate. Well, there's several reasons why, and I've discussed those reasons why. It could be he doesn't want to give him the platform, and Pastor Dow wants to be the platform. Maybe he's concerned about security because Pastor Dow comes off as some type of damn lunatic fanatic with the guns and the people and people don't be wanting that kind of. You understand? I'm sure you get it.